Hello, it is Julie again. I am basing all the videos that I just had, and I'm just going to speak frankly about, again, what happened to me with my case. And it's just a reminder of being called guilty when I have not been guilty, and what I didn't recognize before when I was warned through the grapevine that the system no longer was even really working ever really for people, and it really wasn't working for low incomes, and that people were finding them starting to lose their cases of their children. And until it happened to me, little did I know, I fell victim to this new system of going after low income families and somehow getting their kids away from the parents, and then making the parents sound like they're faulted on either they have a drug problem or heavy mental illness or all of the things and steps that they kind of presented on my case, and try to, beat up and character assassinate me, and decide that for themselves that they have the right to say this, even if they've never even met me from Adams, meaning the judge and stuff. They're taking other people's words for it. That met me in the most horrendous of times, when you just removed all my children from me, and you're going to all of a sudden be my best friend. When they came to my door the first time in August of 13, I had dealt with them 2 years before, because when you have a child born while you're on Suboxone or Zebutax, as I took Zebutax, it doesn't have the narcan in it. When you're pregnant, they suggest not to have the narcan in it. Well, hell, they suggest not to do the medication altogether, but unfortunately, if you have an opiate dependency, you know how hard it is sometimes to quit that thought of not using it out of your head so fast, because if you could, it would be easy, and drug issues wouldn't be an issue. It wouldn't be a subject we talk about as much, because we seem to always pick on people that go after the pain pills. We don't go after the Viagra pills or the heart pills, because that's more acceptable. But because opiates do tend to ruin lives as much as it can help with pain, literally, it can also kill you and ruin your life. And it did with me just when I thought I would have a handle on it. I literally didn't really abuse it until an odd connection of two prescriptions getting called in at the same time made me look like I was fooling around with something, and I wasn't. And then I had to go a few days without it until I got that solved, and then I realized during that time, which I thought was like this weird grace period of finding out for myself, you might now know what they mean by addiction, because you're feeling that sickness that they talk about, and the ill, stomach ache, nausea, throwing up, gagging, heebie-jeebies, all those misery talks, diarrhea, throwing up, just probably already said that. But anyways, we all know what those addictions, withdrawals are, that are caused by having a dependency with an opiate or opiate-based product, or even benzos, and etc. So that being said, I then realized this about a good 5 years into my first time taking an opiate, because by then I would take it and it would sit in my cabinet, and I wouldn't take it for weeks, and all of a sudden I would need it. So there was a good baseline how I could be just like how a doctor probably wants most of the patients to be, if they could. Use it when you need it, don't use it when you don't have to. That way. Thought I had the aces on that. And it went okay, and then all of a sudden my mom died, and I kind of knew the feeling of good when I took it, and then all of a sudden it kind of made me sick. So then I kind of got away from it again. I'm like, oh, when I took too much of it, it made me sick. So, and then a doctor suggested that I get off of it altogether, and to try methadone for a few months, and then I won't have to take any more opiates. I'd be on methadone, and that somehow I got talked into that, because I thought that would work, and it would be a steady type of opiate. I didn't realize how strong it is, because it almost killed me about 3 days into it. Within 3 doses, I dosed Monday, Tuesday, on Wednesday, came home went to take a little nap with a couple of my babies, and next thing you know, I woke up in the hospital. I had almost died. I stopped breathing, and luckily my daughter found me. And I have told that story already, so I'm not going to get really heavy duty into that. But again, this is just a baseline of how stupid I feel, that I know I've been screwed by this system of Child Protective Services, all based on because of an opiate dependency I got because of a illness of stomach issues and anxiety, and I get my life ruined because I had an issue happen to me as a child, how to deal with that. As I'm dealing with that, I start having anxiety and stomach problems, and I knew this was going to affect me because it's going to be 30 years from the first time I ever had a panic attack. On this November of 17 in 87 was my very first extreme panic attack, and I knew I'd have them for the rest of my life from that night on. And I still remember what I was doing. I still remember what I was watching on TV. I just had come home from work at the hospital. I was drawing and watching a movie, and all of a sudden I had this creepy feeling come over me, and it never left me. I had great breaks of it at different periods of my life, not lately though, not that because of just all the stress of not having my family not being with me. Having people lie about me and trying to fight that has put this big anxiety into me. I mean, how could I not have it affect me? Let's face it, people lie about you. You want to tell the whole world they're lying about you, and I'm only one person, so I'm trying to spread this in every possible way without trying to totally get everybody in trouble and stuff, and to try to keep my sanity to a minimum, because I know if I get overexcited, I get name called, I get made fun of, I'm told I'm vile, and none of it's true because you just don't see me in reports of being, so violent they have to call the police, and so violent they couldn't shut me up. There hasn't been that many calls like that. There has been like zilch, none. I get crying, emotional, yes, but those type of situations, luckily, I can honestly say that I don't have that type of way about me, and I like that I can say that, and I really know myself well to say I'm human. Yes, I have exploded before, but I'm not to the point where I'm that scary to be around, and I'm glad I can say that, because other things people have said about me have been really terrible. I have proof in all kinds of records, just this alone. I mean, you don't have to have a 50-page book to say all kinds of mean things to hurt someone's feelings. Just if you read on this one, I'll read on this one, where they put the jeopardy order on regards to myself. I mean, these people, and another thing, to make it look bigger, they just constantly repeating themselves. They tell me I repeat myself, and in these files, all they do is just repeat the same thing, but just put it in another type of flavor, but repeat it. And they know they're doing this. They know this is the way they learn how to do these type of systems and services, if you want to call it that. And they say they want to make sure the children, are going to be well taken care for. Well, what's the worst thing to do but to remove a child from its original home? They always say all children should stay with the original parents as much as possible, because most of the time a child is still, even adopted, even into a rich family, still loses themselves, and that's what I don't understand. If you want to help a family, why the fuck would you want to just take their kids and that's it, and not help the whole family? I think that it's the cruelest thing. Like, when I see people adopted, this is why I never adopted. Even I got asked years ago if I would be interested in adopting. I thought it would be something for me, but my theory is, help the whole fucking family out. Unless the parents really don't want to be together and stuff. If you got a family that are really trying to work together, why the hell do you just want a couple of their kids and let the rest go to shit? I mean, I think that's the most horridest thing. And that's basically what they did with mine picked what they thought was good, like a pinata thing, you know, broke it open, decide, okay, that one's good, that one's good, and the rest will fuck it, leave it to the wolves to finish off, you know, it's chum, you know, whatever, they feed to get the sharks around, and they keep the good stuff, you know, they make the rest sound like it's, you know, chump and no good, and barely, you know, anybody would want it except for, you know, savages. And what a disgusting thought of how my family got portrayed, because that's exactly what they did. They ripped us all apart. We're all in different categories and stages of this whole game that they had played with us, because it is a stupidity game, and they should feel so ashamed of themselves, and these people are not getting any blame. And to me, it's almost like what Scientology is to Leah Remini, and to most people that say it breaks up families, it disconnects people from their families, because they got this rule in Scientology, if you talk bad about Scientology, then those people won't like you, and da-da-da-da, and they, family members no longer will like you. Then I think, well, how much love did you have if you can't, you know, if Scientology runs your whole life and not your family first? It's a weird religion, but I don't even call it religion, because I'm not even a religion person. I think they all started off as a fantasy. This one started off as scientific type shit that this L. Ron Hubbard wrote, and turned it into a religion. And I think maybe people will be mad at me, but the God and stuff, I think that one just got based a lot early on in life. That's why that one sounds more legit than Scientology. But there's more cults and religions out there than I could ever imagine and ever want to even think, because I feel like I'd be beating my head against the wall trying to convince somebody that I can't. First time I really didn't believe in a religion is when I looked in the sky and go, how can angels hold on to the clouds, because clouds don't hold people. That's the first time when I started not to believe in a religion. Clouds don't hold your asses. I don't know. That's what I'll call my next book. So don't take away that's mine. Clouds can't hold your asses, so don't look for the angels, I guess, in the clouds, because they're not there, because they can't hold their asses. Because this is what I think, people will get mad if I make fun of religion, and if it works for you, like I would say before, bless you, but it has not done anything for me. And I have never really seeked it out, because if I want to be true with something, I don't want to lie about it and grab it because it will work for me now. To me, that's using something. That's why I never wanted to go to different things for help, like churches and stuff, because I don't want to be a phony and say I only want what they have and use them for that, and then bullshit the other stuff. No, I want to believe in what they believe in, and that way if something is given to me and worked on with me, then I feel more honest to take it. But most of those people that get help don't even believe in what the church represents. And I have to admit, I got a huge church not far from me. All I look at it is, boy, that could store a lot of people to be able to live there, like homeless people and stuff. So, sorry, I get really bad leg cramps. So, nevertheless, I just look at this like, here's a huge building. Why don't they house people in it? Instead, it's left there for hundreds of years to be, what, admired by who? A few people here and there. Most people walk by it and think, look, another church that, you know, is big and has all this room, and it serves some people for a few moments of each day, and then that's it. To me, fill it up every day with people in it and houses on top, and then have a thing down below where they can have services. I don't know. I just find so much wasted spaces when other things can be done, and that was one of them that just pissed me off tonight when I walked by a church and saw how big it is, and here I am struggling to refine homes because they don't have vouchers and and shelters and stuff like they should, and housing is terrible and stuff. And this is one reason why I didn't get my children back too, is because I couldn't find a housing stabilizing fast enough for my children. And not only were they just lying about me in general, about my character, they were saying, well, you also don't got a home yet. Well, they were purposely making it so I didn't have a voucher to have a home. So that was another thing. And then even when I did call for these places to look at, right off the bat they were telling me no. It's almost like I kept on getting job blocked and stuff. It just seems like every time I'd reach for something, I think I'd get ahead and say, I'm going to get my girls, we're going to get them together. And I remember saying that to the lawyer, and he sounded so discouraging. I talk about this lawyer probably couldn't stand me from the get-go because I do talk fast and I do have ADD, but that's it. That's my personality. If he really wanted me to win the case, I would think he would have been more trained in himself to say, look, she needs to be, maybe one of his colleagues or a friend could have sat me down and said, look, we run this through you and work on this a little more and this a little less. And he shot one of those at me one time and then let me rant and rave the rest of the time because I kept on saying, I'm not being heard, I'm not being heard, I'm not being heard. They're writing crap about me, and he would just say, ignore that. And then that would be the end of our session. And then the next time I'd see him, it would be the same, me ranting and raving about something that they wrote. He would tell me to ignore it. And then it didn't seem like we really discussed anything further more on the case that we should have. No wonder I lost the case. And then it would go on for weeks. I wouldn't see him for a while. Then all of a sudden he'd call me out of the blue, tell me we had a meeting. Half the time he wouldn't even warn me until like the next day or something, rather than that hour. And I'd be like, I thought they call, it's more prepared and it's more organized. And these things are not at all like they should be. They are not correctly done 90% of the time. They don't have things written down right. 90% of this right now, if I could do it right now, I would, but I can't. I'd black it out because it's not the truth. It would be, no, didn't say that, didn't do that, and that isn't it. I mean, that's how it is. And then they got so many mistakes in those, and I'm focusing on that and forgetting on the other stuff that I'm supposed to do, which is continue to keep looking for housing and make sure I'm making the meetings with the children, because now they're getting further from me because I no longer have my sister watching them for the first 9 months. Now somebody else is watching them, and they're now in 3 or 4 different places, so I'm trying to group them back together because I have more than I have 6 kids, and 5 of them are, 2 here, 1 here, 1 down there, and it's becoming a nightmare. And they're going, well, we got time's running out, Miss Anderson. You need to find a house. We're getting ready to make a determination here. What's going on with you? And how you doing on your testing? And my tests are fine. I mean, but that's what they based on losing the case, is saying that they couldn't think of anything else to say, so they went with something wrong, because now I have proof that what they said, the reason why I lost the case, was not the reason why I lost the case. I lost the case because they said I was this big-ass junkie, and I can't be a big-ass junkie and still get Suboxone. You just can't. It doesn't happen. Doctors will not take the responsibility of you overdosing on Suboxone and on another illegal substance, such as crack, cocaine, or anything else that was in or could be in your system. They will not chance it. You'll be kicked out of their class. You will not even be able to get back into their office, and plus they'll tell the other future doctor you have in case they want their records. So you will be branded, basically. So that being said, I now have the records to prove that I wasn't branded, because I passed all the tests that I was supposed to pass, and if there was some questionable ones, I would have a record on here that would equal up to the day that I, for instance, had a tooth out. I would have a reason to be able to have that medication for that time and that length of time and so forth. And also, I paid for my own testing when it came to here, because these court systems are not doing these appointments fast enough. This is why I'm speaking, because my thing is running out of time too. when you go to a hair follicle things, they're not cheap. You go and they test your hair going back for at least 3 months, 90 days. And they do take a good chunk of it off. So I already had lost a lot of hair from stress. I had this big patch that, like within 2 months after my case started in August, one day I was walking home from someplace home, but I was actually staying with somebody, and I went to get off the bus, and all of a sudden I went to go reach in my hair, and I had this big, huge patch ripped right out of my hair. Sorry to be disgusting, but it ripped right out with skin and all kinds of stuff on it from, the stress. It was like just a mass. It looked like a miniature tumor. It really did. It just popped right out, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember running into a store, cleaning myself up, and luckily I started to, back then, just get into wearing scarves. So luckily I protected myself because I already knew I was having problems with my mouth hurting because of my teeth and needing them out. And now I have this mass head injury, which isn't really from a head injury per se, it's from the stress, and for some reason it just cut right into my scalp, and I had a big mass, and it was like this big, and they said, oh, the doctor said that probably wouldn't grow back. The nurse practitioner told me it wouldn't probably grow back, that it was caused by stress. Plus, she also checked me for other stuff because I kept on wanting to make sure that I was not testing positive for things that I kept on knowing they were going to keep accusing me, because by me just saying I did something once or twice, literally I went, literally, but that's not me, and went like that, and I thought that was it, but they wrote it down like this, and I didn't realize they had put this heavy-duty stuff, accusing me doing heavy-duty drugs, and I'm like, are you fucking serious? They really did do that to me. I can't believe. And I'm trying to say, but by the way, they're saying I'm a big heavy drug user. Not only is my house a mess, that was bad enough, but now they're saying I'm doing this. Plus, now they're saying I even sell this stuff on the streets and making it sound like they're seeing me in the corners, and being caught by police and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh my God, these are really mixed up. I could swear on my parents' grave, these are just silly mix-up, out of store. I don't even know why these people would have to lie or would want to lie about me. They don't. I did nothing to them, and yet they're lying on these paperwork, saying all this garbage shit about me, making me sound horrid. And I don't have 1 ounce of protection from anybody higher up in the food chain of any sort of government assistance programs. Churches, they all would believe a system rather than the person, because you're just one. So if all these people got together and they came to this conclusion, they must be right and you must be wrong, even though it's your story they're working with. But it was the way that I didn't realize I came off telling it that really got it mixed up, because of lack of grammar, just basic lack of grammar, and having some problems that I had from being abused as a child, and just wanting to be on some medication and not realizing that medication was a lot stronger than even I could have imagined, and learning about it and trying to be honest about that. I did understand what an addiction is now that I received the days without it, and saw the consequences of when you don't take it after being on it for a while. I recognize all that, and I'm coming to all these new insights and recognition and realizations, and nevertheless I'm not being appreciated of that. They're just looking at me like you're nothing but a drug head, and that's all we're going to see you as. And I'm thinking, I'm having all these good insights about me, and I'm trying to share them with you, and you're writing down all horrid stuff, and that's why people don't ever ask for help from you guys. No wonder that I was told to stay the fuck away from you guys. And yet something told me maybe you might help me. But I also said this might hurt me. I actually did say that, and it did. And I reached out for help, and instead got a hellish of a nightmare, and it's continued to be one ever since. And it seems like until I have some legit lawyer that will actually call their bluff, because this is where we stand now, calling out a block and seeing who's going to stick up for all these lies and say, yes, we're going to go with saying, a doctor now saying that they're going to continue to keep giving me meds, and I'm testing negative for all these other stuff, so as long as I'm negative for stuff, I can continue to get my meds to help with an opiate dependency. And you shouldn't have to remove, by the way, a child from a parent because they have a dependency, because movie stars have them all the time, and I don't see their children being removed from their homes. And then you got them on the controversy saying that you're nothing but a drug head, but yet your test is saying differently. So here you got them saying I'm a big drug addict, and here it says no, you're not. The only thing that's detective are the two things that are supposed to be. See, when it comes to all the other stuff, it'll say detective for your Falsifying and for ADD meds, because they were trying to help with the ADD inmate to see if it might work, and everything else negative, negative, negative. And if they did want to fuck around with my records, they could have. They could have given me something and slipped it to me, and I would have not known. And I think that did happen once and stuff. And again, you know, you trust these people, and this is what I'm telling people: beware, be very careful, and be careful what you take, and don't leave drinks out and stuff. And again, these are things that are, again, when it says not, that's good. And this is all the bad stuff that you're not supposed to have. You know, anywhere from a steroid to, you know, a oxy to propoxyphene to ethanol to, you know, all these things, you know, to, you know, benzos. At one time I was given those because they knew my anxiety was right through the roof. And everything else, though, they, you know, would say, nope, nothing, see, nothing. I can't even, because, like they said, they had given me, at times, and then this is where you have to watch your report, when you would go to a place and say, well, they gave you a medication, there, and I'd be like, oh my God, I forgot, yes, somebody else did give me something. So this is when I had to remember, because I got this big case going, then I had to remember if somebody had given me some new type of medication from another doctor, if I had gone to the ER or something, they would say, well, you're you know, you're not supposed to have this in your system. Why did you have it in your system? Well, again, they found myself having other things that I had been taken that were given to me, like if I had gone to a detox center and they had given me something different. I just went back and looked at some of these records because I just noticed some of them did say, you know, positive, but the times when even I didn't realize I had been given a different medication. So I'd be positive for things, but in a good positive, meaning they were given to me when I was in a place that I was basically trading one substance for another. You know, maybe a downgrade to what they were trying to see if something would work better, and then eventually I don't have to take nothing. That was the whole outcome of this, was to go down to nothing, which to me is not realistically. And I don't think it ever was in my head thinking realistically I don't think I'll be away from medication in general, but can I be subdued into a regimen? Absolutely. I think that was the best way I could explain to myself and to out there to the world that a regimen is the best way to gain any way of a stability. It's when they're erratically giving it to you here and there. Excuse me, and mentioned a few times in my case they did, and I don't know if they did that on purpose so my records would have a little few holes in them, but basically I still look at those records and it still is more of straight through, no crack, no crack, no crack, no crack. But according to their records, from the time of the case started in in August of 13, she does crack, she does heroin, she's doing this, she said she can't stop. Never said that. And it also said I was good on what they call, which is on another record real quick here that I wanted to mention to people to be on the lookout to. When I got a record back, it says is still good on their ABL, which means basically they're telling me that I'm not good on one thing. Supposedly I can't stop using medication, which I didn't say that. Especially this one was totally wrong because she said I was using a drug and I never even used it, never had tried it at that time, never had even. And she said can't control, and I'll say what it was. She said I used heroin. I never said it. I could swear to my mother's heavens or whatever. I never said it. For a non-religious person, I can't even swear, but never said it. But according to this lady, she said I said I didn't know if I could stop. How can she even put that when even back then, this was in 2013 in November, never said it. Then I'm thinking, no wonder I'm losing the stress. And this is, I didn't even know until a few weeks ago when I got these records. This is what made me more upset because it brings back out the misery. And I know this is the stuff that they were writing about. I just couldn't see it. Now it's in front of me. This was the nightmare that I was worried that they were writing about me, which was a lot of untruths and scary. They're putting things down that just does not have any truth to it. I mean, I just am like, are you kidding me? They're allowed to write this stuff even if they haven't found yourself, even testing positive for it, but yet they can write down that you have a problem with it, even though it's not shown on your urinology testing, and they have it down that you have this problem, yet if it's not on your urinology and you're being tested not just every week, every few days, how can they say that? And yet they got away with saying that. And again, this goes to the judge, and the judge is going to believe what he sees on that record, that, oh, she says she has a problem with heroin that she can't stop, but on her P test, there's nothing that detects that she even has any heroin in her. And if she hasn't had heroin, she didn't have it even 3 years ago all the way to this point. So why is she saying she has a problem with heroin, and why are you writing it down? Nobody even questioned that. These are the things I never got to ask the judge because I didn't have the paperwork in front of me. See, this is what I thought the lawyer was supposed to fight for me, to do this type of work for me. This is what disgusts me. The fact that I have all these records now that proves that I didn't do this shit, and now I can actually be a lawyer myself, because now I think I have the grounds to stand on of, I wish I could revoke his privileges of being a lawyer, because this guy doesn't even belong in the business of telling people and judging them, especially after I hear what his life has been like. And yet, no wonder they're court appointed, because usually those court appointed, they always say they're junkie, and he was junkie, because I even was saying to him, they're writing down non-truths. How do I know those records aren't going to be part of the case? He even one day in front of me scratched it out. Don't worry about it, and he initialed it, because I said, make sure you initial it, because I don't want someone else thinking my crazy handwriting did this, because I already write bad enough. I don't need any more scribbles. So I made sure that most of the time when a doctor did it, they put their initials next to it, because I already get blamed for scribbling. So they're like, oh, don't pay attention to it. Well, you know what? Pay attention to it, because this is why I lost my case, because I believed to take their word for it. Even deep down, though, I knew they weren't doing their best for me. I knew that they can continuously lie and keep with that lie and keep going with that lie, and the kids are getting further and further away from me, and I'm trying to reach and do what I'm told to do, which is the group classes and to get on this boxing, stay on this boxing, and that was it. No one ever said, in order to get your kids back, you have to be off of the boxing. No one ever said that to me. They said it would look better, but no one ever said, this is why you lost your cases, because you took the boxing. Because if they did, and if I lost my case because of that, to me, that's another lawsuit that I should be able to sue, because they're against people taking medication for an opiate, and I guess you can't be a good parent and still be on medication. I'm not being a good parent now because I'm too worried about everything else that has been done incorrectly to my family, that I'm trying to justify fixing that right now, that this time's being wiped out for me to be the better parent that I should be doing right now a job, and not fixing a bunch of mistakes that ignorant people couldn't take the time themselves to figure out these things on their own, when I can see from a very average, any person on the street, even my 5-year-old, 6-year-old could have said, they say on this paper all this month that you've done nothing but drugs, but according to your P-test, it doesn't say you're doing anything, or your hair doesn't show nothing. And yet they're saying you got this real severe problem. How are they getting away with saying one thing, but yet it's being proven that they're lying because you're not doing it? And that would be the honest truth. And unbelievable, the government is getting away with doing that. So to me, they have destroyed a family, and I would love to find someone out there who really could help with this case. I know this video has gone on to 35 minutes, and it may not be on for very long, because I think I will put it up for a while and then take a chance of hoping someone heard what I just said, what they've done with my case, how stupid and ignorant I feel when it comes to parts of my case, from this whole neglect of lawyers and judges and missed calls. And I'm really hoping somebody can pull this out of their ass and see what clarity I can start to take to start to get a grasp of the reality of what already happened, and then how and what the most I can do to get it fixed, and what could be done the most to be able to settle out of some sort, because I lost my family out of being falsely accused of taking drugs when I have a P-test that proved otherwise, theory that 90% of the P-test came back good, and if it was questionable for a few, I had surgery, and I had the other 10% proven to be doctor given, and that it was given to me correctly. So together it would equal a good case of saying mistaken call, and that they didn't do their homework, and for somebody to finally admit in a big league of their own, they actually still can make big mistakes even in a big court system such as here where I live in Maine, that they still made a mistake years ago with one, and that one ended very sadly, and I just don't want mine to end as sadly with deaths, because this one, the last one, was in 2001 with a little girl being tied up in a chair by her pre-adopted mother and got asphyxiated, and that was tragic enough. And I look at that little girl's story and I thought, see, they never think it can't happen again. And again, they took a case and they could have fixed it if they had only tried to listen to me better, and my lawyer tried to listen to me better. And because they didn't think I was worth listening to, because according to them all I did was rant and rave, and it's like, you just took my children away, and you're trying to also take away a lot of my medications that I'm actually saying helps me, but you're also trying to switch them over to other medications that are not helping me. You're also trying to mess with my medication at the same time, and I'm trying to fight you on that. So not only that's going on, I'm also trying to fight for my rights to stick with a regimen that was working for me pretty okay, and yet they're trying to sneak in other stuff and trying to sell it to me in a different way. Trying to overtalk me, I mean, just, underestimating sort of my own intelligence, because I can think for myself at times. If I take the time to calm down, I can do quite well, as a matter of fact. So that being said, I will close this for now, send it off to you guys, and please respond back and tell me what you would do if this was to happen to you, and somebody called you a druggie and convinced the court to take away your parental rights, and you got your records back to prove otherwise, your pee test, your urinology, your hair follicles all came back, and you weren't the junkie after all they said you were. In fact, they didn't even come close. You legitimately had a prescription, a legal one, for a use, and it was legally given to you 100% of the time, and these people can't admit they did an error. And by thinking I was all overexcited, that gave them one more reason to say, oh, now she's mental, because I'm overexcited, because you have my baby, and she's got her face all digged out, and I'm seeing her upset and crying as she's leaving me, and she's got her face all ripped apart, and my face is ripping apart. Next thing you know, my kids are all getting these skin infections, and there's more to this story, and I will continue on with it. But I'll take a break from this because it's been a long night, and I'm going to take a break from this, and I'll continue with what the suffering my kids were going through, because I don't want it just to be about my whole rottenness. My guy and the rest of my children went through, along with a new grandbaby that was also in the presence of making its debut when this case started. So thank you, and I hope this video is shown to everybody possible, and please pass it on.